Welcome back to Thriving Loudly. I'm Aisha.
And I'm Janice.
Today's episode is all about something we don't talk about enough in our community, and community connection and the people we surround ourselves with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've probably all heard the phrase, you are who you hang around. Mm-hmm. But let's get into what that really means, because your circle impacts your confidence, right? It impacts your growth and your peace.
Yes. So today we're talking about how you can find your tribe and how to be a good tribe member. I know we're going to talk about our own personal experiences and learning how to be a good friend, and why intentional connection is everything on your journey to thriving.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay, so we're first going to dive into the power of your circle and what really that means. When did you first realize the impact that your environment and your circle have on your mindset and well-being?
Oh gosh. I would say early 20s. When I was a teenager, I had like a group of friends that I hung around with. I always had a best friend that I hung around with. So as a teenager, I always had people. But as I got into my early 20s, I was a little bit more by myself. And that's when I started to realize, when you grow up a little bit more, that's when I started to realize, like, you are who you hang around.
Mm-hmm.
Birds with feather flock together. Mm-hmm. So if you're hanging around somebody that's always negative, you're going to be negative.
Yeah.
If you're hanging around somebody that is not doing, that are doing inappropriate things, you may be doing that, or, you may be influenced to do something like that. So yeah, I would say my early 20s is when it really like kind of dawned on me, when I had moved to Houston, Texas, actually, because I got removed from my environment, right? And so moved down to Houston, Texas with my mom. And by me moving down there, I had to be by myself. And so I realized, like, wow, some of the stuff I was doing back home in Milwaukee was not, productive, and the power of being in a different environment, and how that can really shape and change who you are, and I think that it was good for me to do that, because it removed me from kind of the negativity that I was around that I didn't realize that I was in when I was a teenager. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
I kind of rambled a little bit.
No, I think you did really good. And, I agree with you. I think that, as a kid, especially when you're in your hometown and you're around the same people you kind of grow up with in middle school, high school, and sometimes into college, you don't really see what's outside of that, really. I know I've experienced the same thing just being in Tucson, even though Phoenix is so close to Tucson, only 2 hours away. I did notice that some of the people I was around in high school and into college, and then even in my early 20s, that's kind of all I knew and who I was around, and it kind of shaped my views, my opinions, like how I saw certain things, and also just my motivation and my drive to do more and be more. I think that the people I was around, and I think Tucson is a funny city because I feel like a lot of people are very there and they're kind of comfortable there, because there's really not
much to do.
There's not much like career growth there. There's only so much. There's only so far you can go in Tucson, right? To where you're gonna have to make the move to a bigger city and stuff like that if you want to kind of really climb up the reins, corporate or just any career wise. I know even for my career, when I was working out there was only so far I could go to where they're like, hey, if you want more, you're going to have to like at least transfer to Phoenix. Like there's not much more we can do like with your growth here. So, I mean, that was one of the reasons I actually moved to Phoenix was, for a job transfer.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the reason why was to further my career. And, in that, realm, I, decided to like also really take social media a little bit more serious. But, I noticed that when I kind of got out of my bubble, I started to meet different people. I really kind of saw like, wow, the people I kind of was around in Tucson, they didn't really have much going for themselves. They didn't really have the business drive, the mindset. And I also noticed that too with my coworkers. I felt like I couldn't really relate to them anymore. I couldn't really, they were just kind of stuck in their ways on where they wanted to be. And I'm like, man, I want to be further, So I think it really does, who you're around really shapes who you are. You are who, that one quote, you are who your 5 closest friends are. Yep. Like, if they're all drinking and partying every weekend, you're going to probably be drinking and partying too. Yep. So, I really truly believe that it really has it really did impact me when I was younger.
Yeah. Have you ever had to outgrow a friendship or community that no longer aligned? And what was that like?
I feel like I've outgrown a lot of friendships. I know just even when I was living in Tucson, there was people I was close to out there. Mm-hmm. And, when I moved to Phoenix and I kind of built my roots out here, they kind of, we weren't hanging out as much anymore. I think one of my friends I was close to, and I still love her, and we'll still kind of every once in a while like DM each other and whatnot. Got married, had a baby. She was kind of more settled. Mm-hmm. We would always run around and go take photos because we were both wanting to just create content. Mm-hmm. Back before TikTok existed. And she was one of my go-to girls to be like, hey girl, like this weekend let's go here, let's go there, let's go take some content, let's go take photos for Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then she kind of outgrew that, and she got her real estate license, and she kind of just went into a different path, and we just outgrew each other. Yeah. And then, there's other friends I had, that I've met maybe through content creation and stuff like that. And maybe they were in it and then they kind of took a step backwards from it. So we kind of, our lives kind of shifted, and then we really maybe just didn't really have much to relate on anymore. And I think for myself, it is hard, but I understand it. I've never had really bad fallouts with people. It just kind of was like you grew apart. Kind of starts with you're talking, and then you kind of slowly talk less and less and less, and then you're like, oh snap, I haven't talked to that person in like 6 months. You're just growing apart because life changes. And I know we've talked about this in several episodes, to where you're kind of busy, you got other things going on, and you sometimes slowly grow apart as you grow as a person. And I think that's okay. It happens.
I would say for me, I've outgrown a lot of friendships just by moving out of Milwaukee into Texas. So naturally, you're not going to be as close with your friends as you once was, because you're in a different state, a different environment. And then now moving here to Phoenix. And so I feel like I've always kind of been on a journey. And so with that, some of my friends have dropped off. But thanks to good old social media, you're still able to stay somewhat connected to people. But as you get older, things change, and you don't always have the same interests. You're not always going in the same direction. And it doesn't mean, they're a bad person or you're a bad person. It just happens. It's just a part of life. And so, there's been a lot of friendships that I've outgrown, especially since I've elevated a lot more, kind of like how you were talking about with Tucson. Milwaukee is very much of, it's just everybody's kind of doing the same thing. It's like if you really want more for yourself, you have to move. You gotta go somewhere, because otherwise you're going to be stuck there. And it's kind of like a crabs, what do they call it? The crabs in the bucket or in the barrel kind of mentality. So it's like only very few people are actually really, doing something. Very small town like feel, because it is a small town. So absolutely, I have.
And to really bounce off of that, what does a thriving circle of friends look like now to you? Now that you've kind of grown apart from people, you've established roots somewhere else, you're now an entrepreneur out here in Arizona. Like, what does that look like for you now?
I think it's just like a positive group of friends, like, which I feel like I have out here. So like when me and my friends get together, we're talking about like, how's life going, what's been going on, what are like some of your achievements, or like what are some issues that you're having. But it's always like positive, and like, what are some of your goals that you're working on for this year? Oh, okay. If a friend, like I had one friend, she was looking for a job, and I was able to make some recommendations for her and actually helped her get a job. You know, so those are the type of friendships that I have. Is we're working together, we're connecting, you know, each other with different people or opportunities, but we're also talking about, you know, real life as well, and you know, digging deep, especially being now in our 30s, of like real life issues that are going on. But for the most part, it's positive. You know, I know when I was younger, when I was a teenager and in my 20s, we weren't really talking about much. We were just hanging out. You know,
I was like, when's the next party? Where are you guys going out to tonight? We're going to Old Town.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's go. You know, but it was nothing really like, well, what's your vision? What's your goals for this year? You know, let's rock it. I have one friend, my homeboy. Like, we'll text each other, like, because we're both on a fitness. We're both on our fitness journey. And so we'll text each other every now and again, like, hey, you know, how's it going? Are you still crushing it? He'll tell me, like, yeah, I just lost, you know, 10 pounds last month. Like, good job. Keep going. You know, I'll take a picture at the gym. He'll take a picture at the gym. So it's just those type of friendships, you know, that I enjoy. And I just feel like it's helpful, you know, as you continue to grow and progress, versus friendships where you're just on the phone gossiping and such did this, and I can't believe my boyfriend said that, or, you know, or he did this to me. You know, we did a lot of that back in the days, and I don't knock that. You know, sometimes you do gossip, and sometimes, you know, you do need that friend that you could talk to, but for the most part, I like to keep it a little bit more positive, you know, because we are growing and we are adults. What would you say?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your points. I think a thriving circle is, you know, people that uplift you, people that, you know, want to see you win, succeed. You know, they're happy for you. And, you know, you give the same in return, right? Or it's, you know, like you were mentioning, like putting them onto opportunities to be like, oh my gosh, I know someone who's great for this, and this is my friend. And, you know, really doing that. And, you know, sometimes that is hard to find, you know, in friendships where, you know, like it's hard to find those people that are going to be a fit for you and that are going to be rooting for you, that aren't secretly jealous or praying for your downfall. I feel like we've probably all at some point in our lives experienced that. And, or we've been maybe on the other end of it, you know, at some point in our own growth journey. So, yeah, I would say that it's just people who are genuinely there for you. They support you, not just because of what you have, who you know, your resources, your money, your status, your look, whatever it is, your looks, whatever. They're actually there because they care about you. And they want to see you win, and they support you. So
and it is hard to find. I only have a few friends like that I really like, that support me and that are there for me. Other people are just associates. It is hard to find.
It is.
You do deal with that, especially when you are, you know, successful, or you're an entrepreneur, content creator. You know, a lot of people are unfortunately after you for what you have. You know, they're looking for their next come up or whatever, and so it's kind of hard to even really have those real friendships.
Yeah, definitely. How do you kind of differentiate between friends who challenge you to grow and the ones who drain your energy? I'm sure we've all had like a friend who was like you were talking, like always on the phone gossiping. You're like, girl, in your head, you're like, this again.
We are in our 30s and you're still talking about this?
Yeah, or this happened. And it's like, you know, we all need those moments to vent and kind of, you know, just let things off of our chest. But I'm sure you've probably had experiences where you just get around certain people and it's always something. There's actually a funny TikTok I'll have to share with you, but it's just, it's funny because it kind of touches on this a little bit, but it's like, dang, like nothing like good happening. You can't be positive for once. And I'm okay to hear people out, but sometimes you're just like, I got my own stuff too. I'm trying to work through.
Right. Okay, girl, you just don't know. Okay.
Yeah. So how do you kind of decipher between those things and choosing?
Honestly, the ones that drain, I don't have too many friends that drain me, but the ones that are like, maybe they're my day ones. I have to put a time limit on the conversation, to be quite honest. And And, you know, I'll listen, but after a while, it's like, I have to get off the phone if we're not, you know, if the conversation is not going anywhere. I'm off for, like you said, venting. You know, I'll be a listening ear. I'll be a safe space. My friends know that. But I'm a busy girl. I got stuff going on. I can't sit on the phone for an hour, you know, while you're talking about, you know, such and such. And then it's the same thing next week. You know, I can't do it. So I have to put a time limit on it.
So when that happens, do you kind of now have more boundaries with people like that? And also, I know sometimes people vent because they want advice, but what do you do in a situation where you've heard this person out, you've given them advice, but it's still the same thing? Do you keep that friend around? Like, how do you handle that?
No, I set boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's the type of friend that we talk like once a month. You know, I'll listen. Yeah. I don't even give advice anymore because I'm like, they're not looking for advice. They're just looking to vent. They're just looking to get it out. So, you know, I'll talk. Yep. It's 20 minutes. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I have to go. I'll be quite honest, you know, because I'm a good person. Like I love my friends. I love even family. I have to do this to family. I love you guys, but they know after a while, it's like, I have to get off the phone. Like, I can only do so much, and you know, I have to create a boundary. Otherwise, this is going to drive me crazy, and this is not productive. And so for me, for the friends that are like that, which I don't, we have like maybe one or two that's the same thing over and over and over. I only talk to them like once a month, and sometimes I may not answer all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's real though.
That's real, yeah.
That's real, yeah. You have to protect your own.
You have to protect your energy.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And then that'll start bleeding into your life. If you're always on the phone with someone who is negative, they're constantly going through the same problems, there's nothing good that's happening in their life, that's going to bleed over into your life. All that negative energy. So you have to limit that interaction. And it's not being mean or anything like that, but you have to limit it. Another thing I like to do too is when I do have friends like that, I try to flip the script on them and help them to see things in a positive way. Or I make sure like some messages with them, or like, girl, I'm gonna pray for you, or you know, something like that, to try to uplift their spirits. Or, you know, have you ever thought about doing this? Or maybe it's time to walk away. You know, we've been talking about this now for over a year. You know, maybe it's time to go. You know. No,
I love that. And I love that you set kind of time limits when you talk to friends who kind of are in that headspace to where they just want to vent and gossip, and you're like, dang, this is a lot of negative energy. And especially when you've already maybe had a rough day and you're like, oh my God,
like, I have my own stuff going on.
Yeah, and you want to just have a glass of wine and just watch TV, and you're just you're like, oh.
Well, and then that's the worst, when you have a glass of wine and you're on the phone with them, and you're like, I wanted to just enjoy my wine and the TV.
I know, you're like, now you're trying to down it because you're like, shit. I'm like, now you're gonna have to open the tequila bottle. Like, I'm like,
seriously.
Yeah.
How would you say that you differentiate between friends who challenge you to grow and ones who drain your energy?
Yeah, I say like the ones that drain my energy, I kind of keep them at arm's length. Like there's like kind of a distance between them, and you know, maybe, I don't know, I just see like if they're kind of like that to me, like I don't know if they're also gossiping about me, or they're just, you know, like just certain things like that I'll kind of pick up on. So I maybe try to be careful with like how much I tell them and stuff like that, which it shouldn't be like that in a friendship. You should be able to be an open book with your friends and feel comfortable around them. But yeah, I try to keep those types of people at arm's length, because again, like you said, you don't want it to rub off on you, and then now you're negative, and now it's affecting your work and how you show up, and so yeah. But the ones that, you know, challenge me to grow and they're positive, like I want to be around them, because it's like, you know, they're just awesome people, and it's just fun vibes. Like,
and it rubs off on you.
Exactly. You can go out, have a good time, knowing there's not going to be drama, knowing your friend's not going to get drunk and try to fight someone. Right.
Like, that's a whole thing too.
Yeah. Like, you know, you have those type of friends that will have a couple of drinks and they're like, yeah, so I just want, you know, positive vibes and just a fun time, and no drama, but I'm willing to hear people out because I know we all go through things.
Exactly.
But when it becomes a occurrence and that's like the only thing we're talking about, that's when I know I'm like, okay, I got to kind of keep my distance from this person a little bit because this is a lot, and I also have my own life things that are going on in my life and issues and stress, and I can't take on someone else's stress as well.
Which I'm going to ask you too. So how do you deal with that? Like, do you ever feel like you're the strong person that everybody goes to and kind of like dumps their problems on you, and it's like, who's my safe space?
Yeah,
because I struggle with that.
A little bit. I think, I've been that person in the past. But I think also, at least lately, I've kind of established boundaries to where I don't want to be like a person where you're just like wanting just to gossip with and all of that, because I'll just be like, oh, is that really happening? Oh my god, like I try to just like not try to like be like, ooh yeah, so tell me more about what's going on, what's the tea, and sometimes drama's entertaining and you kind of want to know, but I feel like I've been wanting to pull myself like kind of out of the loop more, just because it's just like, oh, I don't care what anybody's doing, because that's just like taking away from what I can be doing for myself, and I could be focusing on my own stuff, and so I've been just trying to remove myself from that completely.
That's what I've been trying to do as well, but I'm like always that advice friend, even like I said, to family as well, so it's like everybody comes to me for their problems, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, where's my safe space? Who can I talk to? So I'm definitely with you when you said,
keeping people at arm's length.
Keeping people at arm's length. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, and then let's talk about the importance of energetic alignment. How does that play in who you keep close?
That is so important to me. So my friends that I have here, we're all in alignment.
Yeah.
The only new people that I bring into my life are in alignment with me. Like, I'm so intentional about that. Like, you have to be some form of spiritual, whether you could be religious, that it doesn't matter, but you have to worship some type of God. That's like a non-negotiable for me, and you have to have something going for you, whether it's a career, whether it's a business, but there has to be positive things going on in your life. And you have to be an all around good person, not negative. Those are some non-negotiables for me to keep it in alignment. And do we kind of have the same interests? We don't have to be, 100% alike, but do we have things in common? And if we do, that's how I kind of decipher, like, okay, this is somebody that I can hang out with. This would be a good friend for me. I think it's so important because when we were younger, we just had friends that we picked up along the way, but they weren't necessarily in alignment with us because we didn't know what alignment was, right?
Yeah, and I think when you're younger, you just kind of naturally maybe gravitate towards people because it's like, oh, they were in my class, or, they were in this club I joined in school. And so you just kind of, those are the people you're just constantly around, so you're going to naturally gravitate towards people. But again, are they going in the same direction as you in life? And they kind of have some of the same... They don't necessarily have to have the same goals, but they have goals. And just like the things that you want in a partner, I think resonates to friendships as well. Yes. And I think the biggest thing with people now is I think people are so obsessed with trying to find like partners and, being in a relationships. They're not also treating their friendships like that.
That is so true.
Because it is a relationship, right? Like it's still kind of, besides the intimacy part, like you're still doing a lot of the same stuff you do for your partner, right? Like you guys hang out, you guys are open with each other, there's just a lot of those like same values. So I think it is so important to find friends who share similar values. You guys don't have to be completely like copy paste, but some of the same values and how you guys kind of see life and stuff like that, I think is very important in a friendship.
Right. And I mean, to be able to even do like activities together, maybe go take a yoga class or something, if you have similar interests. So absolutely. So now we're moving on to finding your people. How have you found community as an adult, especially as a Black woman in a predominantly white or, professional spaces, especially like out here in Arizona?
Yeah, I think what really helped me, I kind of, when I moved out here, I was already doing social media, like just as a hobby. So what helped me was getting connected with other like-minded creators. I'm more introverted, so I'm not the one who kind of who will just like DM someone and be like, hey, what's up? But I was fortunate enough to have a few people, reach out and be like, hey, there's this event happening, you should totally come. It's a creator thing. And I was able to slowly connect with people who were like-minded, who were kind of doing the same things I was doing.
Okay.
I think that really helped me in the early days find connection. Also just with my job, I was working, so just connecting with coworkers out here really helped me a little bit. I felt like I was too busy at the time to really like dive into like different clubs, and I feel like pre-COVID and even after COVID, like in 2021, 2022, this whole club scene wasn't as big as it is now. All these run clubs and there's a club for everything now. Like,
it is. Yeah.
I'm like, this wasn't a thing like 3-4 years ago when I was just like newly to Phoenix. I feel like there's so much more opportunity to meet people in Phoenix and different clubs for just different things than there was when I moved out here. Just even more black spaces wasn't a thing pre-COVID. In 2020, I mean, hardly. I didn't hear of any much of that, but now you have so many, and there's even more. I don't know if you saw. There's like this black swim club now, which is really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, you can learn how to swim. It's just like
I love that.
Yeah, just so many different fun new things, and I think it's really exciting that we're seeing more and more of that out there, and even other people of color. Clubs popping up left and right. I have a friend who just launched like an AAPI club, for women, which is like Asian American and Pacific Islanders, and like they do like fun little Pilates and yoga events and super cute.
Okay.
So just like fun stuff like that. We'll try to put some in the show notes for you guys, just so you can kind of broaden your horizons, especially if you're locally here to Phoenix. But yeah, there's way more out here now, for sure.
Yeah, I would say for me, I'm still finding my community, honestly, out here. Because when I first moved out here, I moved out here for a job, but I was remote. So since I've lived here, I've never been in an office. I've always been at home. So it's been hard to find, really my tribe. The friends that I did find was just really... I think I went to one networking event and I found a group of girls and we kind of just like hung out after that and stayed in contact. And then my homeboy that I know is from my cousin. She was like, yeah, my friend lives out there. You guys should connect. And that's how we met. And some of the other people that I know is maybe just from like a networking event or clients. Some clients have turned into friends and maybe they've introduced me to someone. But I'm still trying to find like my true tribe out here and what like community I really want to be involved in. So for me, I'm still figuring it out. But with all these new spaces, I'm sure I'll find something.
Yeah. We even not too long ago, I went to a pickle and chill event, and even then there's just like several people who came up and just started conversations with me, and just like, I think you have to be intentional. You have to kind of put yourself in those spaces, right? Like you have to get out there.
Yeah. Like
you really, really do. And I think this kind of brings us to our next point on, what advice would you give someone who feels alone or disconnected right now? And I feel like one of the biggest things is like, you've got to put yourself out there. You have to find things you're interested in, whether if you love books, find a book club, because, that's something that you enjoy, and then that's how you can meet other like-minded people. I think that is, really important. But I think it's just finding things you enjoy first, right? Because if you go out there and join places and spaces and things that you love, whether that's a cool fitness class or a run club or whatever it can be, I think you'll start to naturally meet people organically that are very similar to you. But if you stay in your bubble and you're online saying, I want to make friends, but you're just online, you have to pretty much disconnect from the internet and get out into the real world to meet people. And I think we're now in this era where we're more connected than we've ever been with social media and all these different platforms, but we're still so disconnected from real life.
Yeah.
We truly are.
We
and you really got to get out there and get off scrolling.
Yeah, social media. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Like, and you have to go to those networking events. I go to my different classes and stuff like that, but I don't always meet people. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird to me out here in Arizona. Like, I go to a lot of places, but I don't necessarily meet people, and I see the same people every week. You know, it's like we'll talk and stuff like that, but we're not exchanging numbers. Want to go hang out for coffee? It's like, see you later. Even with my apartment complex, like. All these people live here. We could be hanging out at the pool. It's like, yeah, we'll talk and stuff. And then it's like, all right, see you later. Bye. I feel like we are connected, but we're so disconnected.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's in their own bubble.
Absolutely.
It's really hard to actually meet friends and make connections with people nowadays.
Have you ever thought about, and I know for me, I'm naturally introverted, so me, like, going out of my way to be like, hey, can I, like, get your number? It's like, you know, it's just so nervous, like, nerve-wracking for me, but have you ever made the attempt? Because I think also, I think most people are probably like us, they're in their head, and so I think a lot of it is very intentional on, like, you kind of have to be like, hey, like, what's your Instagram? Like, let me follow you so we can, like, you know, connect more, or it's like, hey, what's your number? Would love to, like, grab coffee, kind of like dating too. Someone has to make the first move, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And that's typically what we would do, like, grab each other's Instagram and either go somewhere or it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's been challenging for me as well. I don't know if I have like a resting bitch face or what, but it's like a hit or miss with me. Like, people, they'll talk and stuff like that, but it's like, oh, I don't know if I can get her number or not, you know, like, so, yeah.
No, I get that. I mean, I feel the same way overall. It is hard to connect with people. And yeah, I totally see where you're coming from with that, because it can be hard, because you're like, oh, they're cool, but I don't know if they're going to reject me. Like, yeah, so yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Like, I don't want to look desperate and stuff, asking this girl for her number, and she's like, who is she? Like, yeah, we hung out, you know, in the class, but no, not really.
Yeah. You know, I see that. I think it's just, you know, getting out of your head a little bit and just making that first move. And hey, if they say no or they reject you, I mean, that is hard, but I think, you know, hey, at least you took the initiative, right? And you put yourself out there.
What does it feel like when you found your tribe? Have you found your tribe?
I feel like I have some close friends. Would I say I have like a full-on tribe? No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think I'm actively still finding that full community, kind of like what you mentioned before. And, you know, again, I think you continue to grow as a person, and then you kind of have to take a step back and kind of reevaluate your role as a friend, the friendships you do have, and what that still kind of continues to look like in the future. But I think at one point I thought I found my tribe, and then I had to take a little bit of a step back, because there were some situations to where I was like, oh, was this the tribe, or was this what people maybe could get out of me? And so I had to kind of work through a lot of that. And but it's still active. I'm actively looking for the tribe. What about you?
And I mean, we grow, we change, you know. Sometimes a tribe looks like this, and then next year it could be a different tribe, to be quite honest. But for one of the things for me, I'm such a I'm a lone wolf, honestly. I do a lot of things by myself. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't have a tribe. But I feel like I have like my couple of, you know, close friends that I do hang out with. I'm not a big fan of like girl groups or like being a part of like a clique or anything like that. So like my friends are all like kind of individual. Like, I know this person over here, I know that person over there. It's not like we know each other together. I really don't like that. Because that kind of gets cliquey-ish, and I don't like being a part of cliques. To be individual, and I have my friend over here, I have my friend over here. I can bring us all together, if we attend something together, but all of us being interconnected, that doesn't always work well for me.
Yeah.
It's gossiping, and so I'm like, I like to keep this friend over there and that friend over there, and and for the most part, Trinice is doing her thing by herself, so it's ongoing.
I've experienced that too. Yeah, when you try to have that kind of girl group and then it kind of explodes in your face. It can get cliquey. It can get weird. And so, no, I see where you're coming from. For sure.
Yeah, so I've just learned to do a lot of things honestly by myself.
Yeah,
I'll go out to eat by myself. Heck, I'll even go to a bar by myself.
Me too. Well, a lot of times when I go by myself to restaurants, it's because I'm filming. Just because I do a lot of that alone now. I used to always take friends with me to all the food stuff, and from time to time I'll still do that with my friends. But then I realized that this is a mistake I made in my friendships early on in building friendships from social media. Is the only basis was social media. It wasn't anything deeper than that. And I made that mistake of revolving the entire friendship on that. Okay. It's oh yeah, you'll be my +1 to this event. Oh yeah, can you come with me to help me film this? And or it would be vice versa. And there wasn't any other substance beyond that. And I made that mistake, and I feel like I grew apart from friends because of that. And I'm like, man, I wish I could have, rekindle this friendship, but we didn't have any type of foundation besides content and social media. So I try now not to base my friendships just off of the social media stuff. And, like I said, I invite my friends from time to time as my +1s to certain things, but I've realized that having those relationships off camera and just being like, hey girl, let's just go grab brunch, and no filming, no trying to take photos, just connection and just being genuine of how's life, what's going on, what are you doing, has helped me so much more versus just, oh, she's just a girl I take, the picture of she's the +1, all the time. So I've kind of steered, at least over the past 2 years, I've steered away with inviting friends to every single thing and doing all of that, and just making sure the friendship is more organic and authentic, and us having those just real moments of us just going out and having a good time without me having to grab content or them grabbing content. And then if we do post a fun story or video or photo, it was just authentic and organic, and it wasn't we had to.
Right. How do you decipher who's really your friend, especially with you being this content creator? How do you really determine this person is really my friend, or not just my friend just to what comes with me? That's how do you navigate?
That's something I'm actively navigating. I don't think I have it all figured out yet, and I think that is something that definitely I think about a lot. Who really, if something happened, can I call this person? Will they, if there was something I needed, could they be there for me? And so I think I'm actively evaluating that, because it is hard, because especially as you grow and you do your things, there's a lot of people who are going to want access to you, and you can't allow everybody to have access to you. And I made that mistake. And now that I have boundaries and I'm not allowing every single person be my friend and have access to me all the time, I mean, it could cause people to feel a certain type of way, but I also have to protect my energy and my peace. And I just really do, because I just don't know. I don't know you. I mean, I don't know your intentions. I have to get to know you outside of this. And It's hard.
It's a tough one.
It's tough. Even with us, what we're doing, it's, gonna be...
I know.
People, people could come from out of the woodworks.
Right. Where'd you come from? Who are you?
Yeah.
It is a tough one to navigate. I mean, even now with me just, being a business owner and stuff like that, and just some of the stuff that I've done, I've noticed, like, are you really here because you really genuinely care about me, or you just want to be attached to Trinice? Because what Trinice comes with. Like, I know Trinice, she's always, doing good stuff. So if I'm attached to her, I'll get some of that too. Like, so that's a tough one for me too.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
At Industrious, we have found our perfect creative headquarters. We've been using their podcast studio at their Kierland Commons location in North Scottsdale. They offer day passes, private offices, and vibrant co-working lounges and wellness rooms. The podcast studio is bookable on demand and has comfy seating and hourly rates. It's our space to think, speak, record, and connect. Use our code Thriving20 to check out Industrious, and thank you all for supporting us.
How do you intentionally call in or attract aligned friendships or like collaborators? Do you have like a specific way? Do you try to manifest people?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think for alignment, I try to see people's, character a little bit, whether that's like, I think I've learned there are certain ways I've kind of seen patterns on how people have maybe approached me in the DMs or approached me in real life, where I can kind of spot maybe a few red flags on how they are, and if that's going to be an alignment of a friendship, or is this like, oh, they're just an acquaintance, or they're just maybe a peer in the industry that's maybe just like seeking advice, and I'm not. I'm a person, I'm an open book. If there's, creators that DM me or they, text me or whatever, I'm going to be honest, with my opinion. I'm always like that. A lot of people know that, like, I've helped so many creators. They'll be like, hey girl, like, I got this brand deal. What do you think? Like, should I, there's people that, that will text me from time to time and ask about my opinion. As far as like a friendship, I think there are some kind of things cues I kind of look for when it comes to how they interact with me and how they approach me, that I can kind of see if this is an alignment. But I think I let things flow naturally. I'm all about, I want it to be organic, I want it to be natural, and I don't want it to be rooted on like a social media thing, so I just kind of look at that.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I had read something. They were saying like, I read something. What was it? It was like, if you meet someone and they're so eager to be your friend, that's a red flag. Like if they just want to hang out so quickly, it's kind of like love bombing. If they just want to hang out so quickly and they want to be your best friend, just like off the rip, like that's probably a red flag.
Yeah, like I've had people like, hey, I'll come with you, I'll take your photos, I'll do this, I'll do that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I appreciate it. I really do, and I think that's so sweet that they want to help me. But it is like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
I was like, I don't really know.
Why are you so eager?
Yeah,
we have time.
Yeah, it's not that deep.
Yeah, so I like organic. It could be a little slow pace. Like one of my friends that I met here, we hung out. We met at a networking event. We didn't hang out again until like 6 months later. And then after that, our friendship picked up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that, because I know you have a life, I have a life, and, it came organic over time. So.
Over time, yeah, exactly. I love that. And then can you talk about a friendship or connection that changed your life? Has there been any yet? I know we still have lives to live, and so,
A friendship or a connection that changed my life.
I mean, I would say just kind of based on like my experience in the industry, I've learned to just always treat people well, and just always be kind, show up, don't really kind of stay out of the mix, and don't involve myself with like a lot of the drama, because I think especially out here, the Phoenix social media scene, it's grown a lot over the last few years, and it's really blossomed. But there's still kind of some niches that are very like underdeveloped, that aren't really like I guess, competitive or cutthroat. I think food and hospitality out here in Arizona is very competitive. And I try not to like involve myself in a lot of like the foodie drama and like, you know, because there's people that be like, oh, they went to the same place I went to, like, and they'll be caught up on a lot of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. They will get caught up on that. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, most businesses, they invite, like, they're sending out 20, 30 DMs to probably content creators. Like, the chances are that someone's going to, like, go to the same place that you is high, right? Yeah. And even if they went, you could go 2 months later and get invited or whatnot. So I just try to, like, just stay out of it. And I think based off of that, I've been able to really have a lot of allies in the industry that are just like, if there's something that I launch or that I do, they're like so excited to, you know, back it and be a part of it because I'm not involving myself in a lot of that mess because there is, you know, it can get messy. It can get messy out here. And I try to just not involve myself in any of that. And I think I've been able to, you know, have allies and even other creators who, I'll get emails from businesses. They'll be like, hey, so-and-so creator recommended us, recommended you to us because, you know, you're a good creator, you're professional, you're a kind person. And so I think I don't try to burn my bridges with people. Yeah. You know, obviously you're not going to love and like everybody, but I think, you know, keeping professional relationships and keeping it clean and just staying in your lane, I think is super important. And I feel like that's been career-wise been a benefit, and it's also helped me when I try to go on different endeavors like this podcast, you know, because I've built these relationships and I don't burn my bridges with people. I would have to say the same thing for me. That's how I've been able to really grow my business is building relationships with people, and then, you know, one person referring, like one client referring another client, and it's just really been off of word of mouth. And so, again, keeping your word, you know, building those relationships with people. But there is one person in particular that I can think of that changed my life. Jenna, if you're watching this, she changed my life because when I first started my business as a virtual assistant, I was a virtual assistant at first, and then I changed it to an executive virtual assistant. But she has a virtual assistant business, and so I was able to collaborate with her, and, you know, she helped me with some clients and stuff like that, and we really built like a really good friendship. And so we were able to like leverage each other. And then we worked on some other stuff, like kind of outside of, you know, VA stuff. And so she's been like pivotal in my career and in my business, and, you know, helped me stay afloat. Sometimes when I was struggling, you know, I could count on her. So we like thank you,
shared resources. But that's what it's all about. You know, when you build those relationships with people, you guys can share resources. You know, one person tells another person, and that's how you build. You know, and that's why I'm a firm believer in collaboration. Collaborate. You do not have to be in competition. She has a VA business, I have a VA business, but we work together. And that's how we get further. You know, and that's what to me, that's what I believe in 100%.
I believe in that too. I truly do. And, you know, I think, you know, I understand in like the creator world, it can be very competitive, and, you know, I think there's room for all of us to grow just because one person covered a place or they had maybe a series that was similar to yours or whatever it is. Like, we're all different people with our own different perspectives. And even I'm sure your clients were a little bit different from her clients, and what your goals are probably different from her end goals. And so I think it's important to realize that, like, you don't have to see everything as competition. You can collaborate with people. I know even for myself, I'll, you know, sometimes get businesses and be like, hey, do you know other creators that would be a fit for this particular campaign or are fit for our business? And I'm giving out names all the time that I feel like, oh my gosh, this person's a perfect fit. They love skincare. They love this. They would be a fit. Or if there's something not a fit for me, I'm saying, hey, this isn't a fit for me. I know I got a couple of opportunities recently, like with more like kid friendly stuff, mom stuff, and I'm like, I'm not a mom. I have a little nephew, but he doesn't come out here enough. He's like 5, but I'm like, here are some family creators. They make content around that, and they would be a perfect fit. So I'm always trying to, bring, lift people, uplift people, and even if it doesn't have to just be about me. I believe in uplifting people and
paying it forward,
because that also is going to help you grow too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Which brings us to being a part of something bigger. So what does belonging mean to you at this stage of your life? Do you feel like you have to fit into something, or you have to belong to something, or do you feel like you stand out by yourself? What is belonging?
I don't feel like I need to belong, and I also don't want to belong. I want to be an individual. I don't want to have to follow the crowd. I don't want to have to do what everybody else is doing just because it's popular or it's, what's trendy right now. I believe in just being who I am and loving the things I want to do, and it may not always be what's popular, but I believe in just being in my own lane. I don't believe in belonging. I think when I was younger, I wanted to belong. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be a part of the crowd, the cool kids, the popular kids, or, oh, they're doing all these things content-wise. I want to be like them, because there was a point where I was like, I want to be like them and get to their growth. But I was like, no, I'm Aisha. I like all these other things. I'm not just someone who loves nature and these things. Like, that's just not me, and I've fully accepted that, I'm in my own lane, and that's okay. I don't need to belong. I can just do my thing.
Yeah, same thing for me. I'm my own individual person. I don't belong to any group, clique, anybody, It's like, this is Trinice's lane, and I love to stay in it. I'm multifaceted. I don't box myself into just one thing. I can do 1,000 things. I'm a Jane of all trades. So yeah, no, I don't believe in belonging. Only thing I'm belonging to is myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you show up for your community, and how do you let them show up for you? Do you feel like you have a community? I know you said you have like a few close friends out here.
Well, when I think of, in this context, when I think of community, I'm thinking like of the Black community, a BIPOC, women of color community. So for me, showing up for my community is doing this podcast, trying to always be a role model, inspiring, showing the positive side of being a Black woman. I think that's how I show up for my community. So you're always going to see me doing something that's uplifting, that's supporting. I don't want to be a stereotype. I don't want to be what they show on the news or what they're showing on CNN of what a Black woman is and all the things. Like, I always try to show a different image from that. So that's how I show up in my community. How about yourself?
I love that, and I think that's a really great topic to really, touch on eventually, dig deeper on. And I would say the same thing, and I think for me, it's really uplifting and highlighting Black-owned businesses, and it's been so awesome for me to see like how some of my videos have changed the trajectory of their business, or connected them with different people, and it's I love that, because a lot of these small Black-owned businesses, they don't get as much love or spotlight, and being a part of trying to get them and bring them in the spotlight, it's just been so rewarding and so exciting. And how do I let them show up for me? I don't know how to answer that really, but I think just continuously, sharing, and, I'm always actively looking for, different businesses to feature, and, I'm very grateful for a lot of the support, and also, just kind of going back to what you're saying about, the image, and, showing a different image of, what a Black woman is versus what mainstream media portrays a lot of us, and really, building and marking our footprint here in Arizona, in a state that hasn't historically been, very racially diverse, and it still really isn't besides Phoenix. I mean, you get outside of Phoenix, like there really is little to none, no diversity out here. So it's just really making this the image of what a Black woman is in Arizona. And, I'm excited that we're on this journey together and we're really kind of shaking up the industry.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Why is connection a form of self-care or self-love?
I think human connection is important, and I think we're losing that with, social media and all these things, and we're lacking that human connection, and I think that's what is making people a little bit more depressed because they're very isolated. They're only seeing maybe certain images that they're being fed on their algorithm or the For You page. So I think we all need human connection. And I know my boyfriend, he sometimes gets on me. He's like, hey, you need to get out of your bubble. You need to come with me to this club and, play pickleball and do this, talk to people. That's important. And it keeps the mind healthy. If you're around people and you're having conversations, that's so important. And that's something I've lost the last few years is talking to people more besides when I'm just out and filming. So that's something I'm really working on.
Yeah, it's very important. I'm working from home, Monday through Friday. So sometimes I lose that connection. And so I always try to make, on Fridays, I love to go to the coffee shop just so I can get out, see people, talk to the barista, because, when you're at home, when you're in isolation, it can start to get depressing. It's like I'm just talking to, my clients behind a screen, but you need to get out and see people and touch people, feel people, it makes a difference for your mental health. And I've seen the difference. I have been working from home now for the past 3 years. Before that, I was always in an office, and I've noticed the difference. I'm used to talking to people every single day, talking to maybe 20 people a day, in customer service and greeting people, just all type of stuff, helping people with this transaction and stuff like that. And so to be at home and to kind of be in my own little bubble, it's sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I've been in the house 2 days. I got to get out of this house and talk to people because I'm going to go crazy. So it's very important for your mental health, for self-care, for self-love. Absolutely. What role does vulnerability play in building deeper friendships and networks?
I think you do have to be vulnerable in order to really build a connection, a raw, authentic connection with people. I think if you don't, it's just very surface level. And people may not be able to know and understand the real you. They're only getting maybe just this kind of little bit of an image of you. But I think if you really want to build solid relationships, whether that's romantic, platonic, with friendships, or a community, even online, I think there needs to be a level of rawness and realness and vulnerability, because I think that's also how people can connect and relate to you. If it's just all surface level, there's nothing to really relate to and build a deeper connection. And I think you need to have some level of vulnerability, and it doesn't have to be they don't need to know all your business. There's some things you can keep private, and I believe in that.
Me too.
You don't need to. Not everybody doesn't need to know every single thing you've done or all the amount of people you've slept with or whatever. You can keep some things to yourself. It's okay. But yeah, I think there needs to be some level of openness when you're trying to build real authentic connections.
100%. I agree. Yeah, because otherwise it's not going to be authentic if you're not being vulnerable. You have to share a layer. You have to get a little bit deeper and share more layers of yourself. I've noticed, when I have friendships that are more surface level versus a little bit deeper where we're getting more vulnerable, it's a better friendship. You feel like you're more connected to that person versus, a person that's just more surface level, and it's just we just hang out to go to the club or to a bar or something, or to a Pilates class, and that's it. So I think it's definitely important And you want to get to know people, you know. I'm a relationship girl, and so I want to know all about you. You know, if you're my friend, if you're my client, if you're even an associate, I'm going to ask you questions. And people that know me, they know. They're like, oh yeah, Trudy, she's always digging deep. She's asking those questions. Some people may not ask, but I think people appreciate that too, because not everybody is asking people questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times we are so surface level.
Yeah.
And so when you do meet somebody that has an interest in you and they're asking about your background and all this stuff, actually it makes them like you more and like, oh, she's really, you know, she really cares about me, or she really took an interest into my life. Like, I like her. Yeah, so I think it's really important.
I really like that. Yeah, I think there was something, it was like a book or something, to where people said if you want to build connections and build human connections and relationships, you have to be curious about people and you have to ask them questions. And when people are asked questions, they're able to open up to you, be more vulnerable, and you're able to build that connection. So I really do think that's important, for sure.
I also think that I learned that too, working in sales. They teach you that.
Oh yeah.
Be curious. You have to ask questions. You know?
Yeah.
How can someone create community if they feel like they're an outsider? So maybe, like, I know some people always ask you, like, new people that's moving to Arizona, you know, like, how can I meet people and how can I make connections?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. It's one of my number one questions I get asked. I think you have to put yourself out there. That's the only way you're going to meet people and build a connection. I think just kind of bouncing off of what we were talking about earlier is find and join clubs that like you enjoy, things you're interested in, put yourself out there, start conversation. I know as an introvert that's challenging for me, but if you're intentional, if your intention is to meet people and make friends, there is a certain level of putting yourself out there that you have to do. Like, I mean, if you can't do that, that's going to be hard for you to meet people. I think that is one of the best ways, you know, maybe get to know your coworkers, you know, if you have a coworker you're really gravitating towards, you know, ask them like, hey, let's go grab drinks or coffee or whatever, you know, and try to build those connections. I think that is, you know, the best way to do it. You know, I know it's hard when you're like, man, I feel like an outsider. I don't know what to do, but you know, I really do feel like you have to try. Just like when you want to get into a relationship, there's a level of like, I have to be intentional in finding a partner. You know, I have to know what are the things I want to look for in a friend. And then the same as in a partner, and you have to ask yourself, okay, I want a friend that's funny, they love to work out, they love this, they love to get, maybe, you know, do this, do that. And then you kind of have to ask yourself, are you out there doing those things? Right. Because if you are, I mean, how are you going to find that type of friend? You know, so I would say that, and sometimes it is kind of that inner work and being like, okay, I want, you know, girls who are fun, they like to go out, they want to do cute, you know, bougie dinners, they want to do this, and like, you know, because there will be people that are looking for that, but then they're isolated in their house all day. So, you know, you have to, there's a level of having to ask yourself, like, you have to kind of exude and be that person a little bit, you know, just like within relationships, if you want, you know, a man that has, you know, has a six-pack, buff, this, that, you know, and a lot of times it is kind of looking at, okay, but am I that person too? Am I going to the gym? You know, because a lot of times, you know, people seek people who have similar interests, basically. So it's like, I think that's kind of, you know, you got to kind of be that person a little bit in order to find those people and find your tribe. Yeah, I 100% agree. You definitely have to be intentional about it if you really do want to find the tribe. It's not going to come to you. It's not going to be in your house. They're not going to come knocking at your door, you know. And if you live in an apartment complex, you know, start there. Maybe go to the pool. If they have any type of activities, you know, attend those activities. If you're at work, talk to your coworkers. I know sometimes we don't want to talk to our coworkers, or when you get off of work at 5 o'clock, it's like, see you later. I don't want to be bothered. But you definitely have to be intentional about it to be able to find your people. And then also those meetup, what is it, meetup.com or meetup groups or whatever. Meetup, that's a good way to find people as well. Yeah, no, I like that you kind of mentioned that. Just, obviously chatting with your coworkers and going to those community events that maybe your apartment complex hosts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way. And even if maybe the people you're meeting at these things aren't a match, at least they're maybe becoming an acquaintance, and then they may introduce you to other people to be like, oh my god, this is so and so, and you may find someone else that you vibe with because of their connections. So just because they may not be like someone you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to be my bestie, but maybe getting around them and maybe going to coffee or attending those community events and putting yourself out there will help you and get you closer to finding those people and finding friends.
And also going to the park as well. You'll be surprised how many I've met so many people just going to the park, taking a walk, somebody's walking their dog, like, oh, that's a cute dog. That starts a conversation. So there's a lot of ways. Just got to get creative, get off of social media, and get out the house.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go into our key takeaways of this episode. I feel like this episode was jam-packed with like so many fun things and just funny takes that we talked about. So listen, who you surround yourself with matters. Choose people who pour into you, challenge you, and hold space for the real you.
Don't be afraid to outgrow what no longer fits you or serves you. Your energy is sacred, and you deserve to be around people who see you and celebrate you. And I think that is just so important. Like, be around the people who support you, who pour into you. What do they say? Go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. I think that is so important.
Absolutely. And finding your tribe isn't about having a lot of people. It's about having the right people in your corner and in your circle.
We're going to close out with an affirmation for the end of the episode. I attract, align, authentic connections that support my growth and joy. I'm worthy of safe, uplifting community. I give and receive love, support, and belonging freely and fully.
And we would love to know who is in your tribe and who are the people helping you thrive. Tag them and tell them how much they mean to you using hashtag Thriving Loudly. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a review so we can keep showing up in your world each week. Next week's episode is going to be a powerful one. We're talking about finding friends/associates in Arizona as a woman of color and a BIPOC person. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so we'll be digging a little bit deeper. I know today we talked about connection, but we're just going to go a little bit deeper into it and really like share more of our experience and like how you can truly, find those friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Until then, keep glowing, keep growing, and keep thriving loudly.
See you next time. Bye.